Guys, Bolt here, and we're back with the summary of Trial. Well, I think it's Trial of the Twister. Um, this mystery was longer than a lot of the others, so it took me a minute to actually get the summary. But it was the biggest bore of a Nancy Drew game I've seen to date. I think I can complain about reading and certain puzzles, but geez, man, geez, this one was like, yeah, we got the returning of video games, collecting of cash, um, the camera from last mystery returns, which helps so much when it comes to hey, remember this, click. Um, we get a little return of the Cocoa Kringle bars from some of the originals. Um, we get a little callback to Kapu Cave with the location is usually used by the storm chasers, but for the most part the culture class normally takes over the barn that they stay at, but they're going to be at the research facility by Kapu Cave. And then we do get the driving from the old clock, and then you also get a GPS to make it easier. They kind of combined that, and I think it was Kapu Cave who made the GPS. You put in the actual I forgot what it's called, the longitude and longitude or whatever it's called, coordinates. But anyways, that's kind of about it. The rest of it, it's trying so hard to feel like Shadow Ranch, but it is such a bore. So it's just aside from your normal puzzles, which were pretty easy, I wouldn't have difficulty with them. It was trial and error, but real quick, PG Krollmeister, who is a doctor who calls you in to help him cover this situation, and you're going in as his niece. He hired Nancy to investigate a possible sabotage happening with an Oklahoma storm research team that he sponsors. And the possibility and the reasoning for this sabotage is that there's $1 million grant riding on the competition. And you're standing in for the team's intern, Pete, who because of an incident, got stuck in the weather and got hurt. And this might be Nancy's most ideally dangerous mystery because it's in the middle of Twister season. Chaotic and dangerous. I'm quickly just going to throw the characters out. There's Scott, the team lead. He has the lowest suspect rate because everything is riding on this. Because it's he might lose the farm to, because they only give it to them to because there's purpose. The school basically has permission for the farm. And then not to mention, his emotional state makes you okay, he's way too wired right now with all this happening to feel like it. Debbie, the team manager, is basically our task giver. This is, aside from the puzzles that Nancy does on her own, your entire task here, it's not to hey, there's a mystery about. It's, hey, you are an intern in this situation. It is feeling like the Wolf Creek again. Where like you're not there to solve a mystery. I know we're supposed to be undercover technically as an intern, but geez, I should not be feeling the job as the main part of this game. Um, if they really wanted to like have Nancy do it, it needs to like fade away and say Nancy did that. I don't mind like mini games like the cooking every now and again, but it gets real tiresome that like that is her like a good chunk of the game is her doing a job that has nothing to do with the mystery. Like yeah, you do get like little things like when one of the Hardy Boys was acting as a cook and he was able to overhear pieces. Um, like it's cool when like it has something to do with a mystery, but like, ugh. Um, but yeah, you just get given tasks by Debbie almost every, I'd say every 30 minutes worth or something like that. You just get like a list for a day's task. She's also juggling a lot as everything's happening because she also took a job as a stage manager, and we learn later that she's had so many better opportunities, but she's kind of holding out to kind of like stick with his team for reasons. I don't want to go into it immediately, but I want to finish the rest of these characters. Next is Chase. He's the team handyman. He likes to tinker, possibly suspect because the tinkerer is going to want to like, they're able to like mess with stuff because they have the knowledge to do so. Um, Frosty, he's the team media specialist talker. That is all I noted for him. Like, yes, he is enthusiastic about this and he really likes the job he's in, but man, the amount of like dialogue he has, it's exhausting. Almost all the team has some kind of ego aside from Chase. Like yeah, he has like you know ego of a good amount where it's just like yes, I do my job good enough to like have enough respect, which is cool. But the rest of them are like, yeah, I do this, and this, and this. I'm worth something. Um, the last person that we physically meet is Paul. He's an overly helpful elderly man who runs a hometown general store. And whom's to be like, he's got, I'll, so I'm trying to straight up rip off the Band-Aid. Like, even though he's like a suspect because he doesn't like the city folk and all that, but it's just, he doesn't know what they're doing, and like, he lost his wife, Ma, to a storm that because of like alerts and other stuff wasn't updated. They couldn't like figure out where it would be, and like once he kind of figures out what they're doing, he backs them more. It's like if technology like this existed or like teams like this were doing what they were supposed to, my wife would have been alive or at least continued. And well, yeah, you can be selfish, but it's like, hey, that betters everyone. Somebody else's spouse might survive based on this technology. We do get to hear from Brooke. She's the opposing team to this Chasers team. And like she gets hot goss from Paul about Scott, and for the most part, they're like the surface level. Scott and Brooke are like looking for each other's downfall. And like that's really about it for like characters. Um, Basically, it's like you do the task. Hey, there's mice. Trap the mice. Hey, I need you to do this so I can do this for you. Hey, run to here to go get pictures here or do this little task. Hey, at the very end of the day, we need to run because there's a possibility of a storm here. We need to get footage of it and all that. And that's like the cycle. the end of the game, Paul, he's just wanting, like, he's just actually, like, yeah, he's not, he doesn't care for town folk, but yet it's like his wife is his big motivation of that. He plays and plays. He acts and plays. And he's a very good, like, he's a good part of the community is what Paw is. Chase and, well, actually, no. First, yeah, Chase. Chase, I guess, is looking for oil to kind of like get a good break. And kind of like he gets pushed aside for a lot of his stuff. He's only like good because of people like Scott. He's unable to like be helpful in any sort of way. So he's more likely just the tinkerer of the group. At the end of the day, he eventually does get to be a good part of the team. He becomes second command and like actually gets like his talents are used at the end of the game. Moving on to Frosty, him and Debbie were talking and like they chatted about like the downfall of Scott. Basically, Frosty was sending images and like he was trying to make side cash. He was trying to also like help others with these images and these videos. And basically, his entire thing is like he wants an open end relationship with the team. That way he can do more. And eventually he does get that opportunity at the end. Debbie, she doesn't want to do any of the other jobs because she's really like passionate about what they're doing as the team. And she becomes the team lead at the end, and she's able to push things for the better, and she kind of makes things work after the situation collapses. And the situation is Brooke and Scott are just acting like they're going against one another, and it's actually Scott is a teacher, or like he shows students about like the weather and all that, and he gets disrespected, and because of that disrespect, he has a bad name. He gets slandered, so he gets there's no way for him to get a job really. So he's acting out and like getting highly emotional, and he just straight up sells out his team, and like he's the one who sabotages because he'd rather lose that grant, get money from Brooke, that way her team can get the grant and blah blah blah. So he's getting some money out of it. He's got his way out. That's what his whole thing is. And Brooke, yeah, it's just she wants to take the win. In the end, they both get fired because Scott puts people in danger like Pete. He has to do community service. Brooke, I think, just gets fired. And I think that's it, really. And then, of course, Paul gets, like, the community comes and, like, recognizes him. And what happened with his wife. The only thing I'd say at the very end was, like, the storms actually, like, being a part of the game and you feel the interaction. Like, if you don't do things properly, you will run into twisters and stuff. There are quite a bit more, like, natural ways to die in this one. But definitely this one just feels so anticlimactic, I'd say. It's just like, oh, you're going to be dealing with the first ever natural occurrence that's the main villain of this thing. And it just turns out that someone got huffy and puffy about some dumb kids. I mean, yes, it realistically, he just gave up. It didn't want to go searching for more opportunities. He didn't have to stick with what he was doing and could have done something else. Um, there's opportunity there. He just kind of was just like, well, um, these little things are peeving me off, so I might as well make a very dangerous and big leap. Um, yeah, it's like a lot of the like I really liked Paul. Paul was a nice part of this thing. Talking to him, like I like the classic feel of that store, but it's just like I said, it's a nothing burger. It is the most basic, like the. I think this is the closest to like the single digit mysteries or like early teens. Um, because this one just didn't feel like the more modern games. So I'm a little sad that this one didn't go far. There was so much more it could have done. Well, yes, it's nice, like, as someone who doesn't understand this stuff, it's a nice little, like, hey, this is how things work. This is how um, general, these kind of people work. But aside from that, I I really didn't care for this one. Um, I'm hoping that the next one is okay. I was trying to jump on this early and try to. I'm gonna be starting to summarize this because last one was so chaotic and it took so long. I don't want that to happen again, and I want to do these while I'm still awake. But anyways, I'm going to finish up here. I have to go put some stuff away, and I gotta attempt make a video. Um, Donkey Kong Country Returns. I need to get back to it. It is pushing me down. Um, so I'm hoping. What I'm gonna do is I'll probably give it a few tries, and then I gotta do it without doing the collection of the letters, just to kind of finish the game. Um, because I cannot keep pushing um, against an uphill battle. I need to move forward, 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 forward. And then I gotta take a shower and go to bed at a decent hour this time. I would really, really like to not have to wake up to an alarm for once. But I will see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.